Hey guys, how are you all doing? This is the MMA breakdown with my recap for UFC, the Ultimate Fighter 19 finale, Edgar versus Penn. Um, a fun card, fun main card, prelim card, not so great, kind of slow. Few good fights here and there, but those Ultimate Fighter finale fights, those were very surprising, very shocking, and real fun to watch. But let's run through the card, and I'll give you my thoughts on everything that occurred. Starting off with the UFC Fight Pass preliminary card at light heavyweight, Robert Drysdale got the submission over Keith Barish in the first round. Robert Drysdale, I was excited to see him enter the UFC. His debut has been put off a few times. He had a failed drug test and I think an injury before that. But against Keith Barish looked good for the level he's fighting at. Threw a couple of big overhands early on. I thought it was pretty interesting how he didn't choose to rush Barish. Push him back against the fence. I think that's something a less experienced, less technical fighter would do. But Drysdale, he landed a few of those overhands, and he just chose to sit back in the middle of the cage and let Keith Barish come back to him. I thought that was a pretty good move by Drysdale, and was able to get the takedown on Barish, took the back, got the body triangle and the rear naked choke. He had a neck crank for a while. Looked like he was just going to completely twist his head off to the side, but kept cranking that neck, and Barish got to his feet while Drysdale still had the body triangle, and Barish's knee gave out. Looked real nasty on the replay, but he tapped. He tapped. I hope he makes a full recovery, but Drysdale goes down as a submission win for him, and looking forward to see him again. Not quite sure who he should fight next. Maybe the tough finale winner, Corey Anderson, who just had a great win. There's also the guy who won Tough Brazil 3, who won at heavyweight, Cara de Sapato. I can't remember his real name, but Antonio. But I think he was planning to move down to light heavyweight. But interesting fighter, and I said this in my UFC 175 recap. But with all these fighters that the UFC is bringing in, all this international expansion, I like these interesting fighters like Drysdale and Kevin Casey coming in, who just have real dominant performances. Probably were really overmatched. Their opponents were probably really overmatched, but I like these fun guys. And Drysdale's a real talented submission guy, so I don't mind seeing him fighting other real low-level guys, and hopefully he can have some more fun fights. Moving on to a women's bantamweight bout, which was contested at a catch weight of 143 because Alexis Dufresne missed weight badly, basically coming in as a featherweight against a bantamweight against Sarah Morris, veteran from Tough 18. But Dufresne, she was able to, she used some judo to get Morris down. Early on, Morris was pressing her on the feet, looked a little bit better there, but Dufresne, she used the judo throw, the hip toss to get Morris down, and just rode out top position and side control for basically the whole fight. Morris, she had a pretty active guard, was looking for submissions, but could not do a damn thing to get back to her feet. Pretty much was on her back for the entire fight. I don't remember if it was the second or third round, but when Dufresne would stand back up, Morris, I think on two separate occasions. She landed a big up kick. Looked like she might have stunned Dufresne, but Dufresne showed some decent wrestling and decent top control. Really didn't do anything with ground and pound. Never came close to looking for a submission. But very perplexing decision. Morris was definitely more active, but I have to call bullshit on the decision. I thought Dufresne definitely won. I mean, Morris didn't have any submission attempts, and I think she had maybe went for an armbar in the first round, but wasn't close at all. And I mean, Dufresne had top position, a very shocking decision, but didn't really mind seeing it because it's nice to know that there's some hope that the judges aren't just always going to give the win to the fighter who's on top. But Morris comes away with the decision. And Dufresne, hopefully she can get her weight cut together. But both women seem pretty tough, I thought. But don't expect much of them at all. I don't expect them to move up in the division. Moving on to the Fox Sports 1 preliminary card. Light heavyweight veterans from Tough 19, Patrick Walsh and Daniel Spahn. Patrick Walsh got a good win here. I was kind of surprised that he was able to out-wrestle Spahn pretty dominantly. Spahn couldn't stop the takedown from Walsh, couldn't do anything to get back to his feet when Walsh was on top. Spahn came alive in the third round, really went after Walsh on the feet, hurt him. I scored that third round for Spahn and looked like all of the judges did too, giving Walsh the 29-28 unanimous nod. But Walsh, he's a tough, gritty wrestler. Doesn't have much athletic gifts, but just drags guys down, works relentlessly for that takedown, and is real heavy on top. Not a real cut guy. Looks like he might be carrying around a bit of extra weight, but he's heavy on top. Smothers guys. Same way he beat Anton Berzin in the house. And I actually thought Patrick Walsh put up a really tough fight against Corey Anderson, who ended up winning in the semifinals fight, and actually scored that fight for Walsh. I kind of thought he got robbed. Let me know what you guys think of that if you saw that fight. But Walsh has very rudimentary stand-up, not technical at all, keeps his hands down by his waist. I think he's going to have a lot of trouble no matter who he fights in the division going forward. But I like seeing him get the win here. And Daniel Spahn, I think they're probably going to cut him, but he really fooled everyone with that big knockout win he had in the fights to get into the house, and just wasn't able to have the same kind of performance after that. Had another win where he just out-wrestled Todd Monaghan, but then he got knocked out by Matt Van Buren, and not a UFC caliber fighter. Patrick Walsh, I don't think is either, but he's a hard worker, and that'll get him another opportunity. Next up, at lightweight, Adriano Martins got a real nice knockout over Juan Manuel Puig, I think. Puig. I forgot how they pronounce that, but probably the best fight on the card. Best performance. I picked Martins going into this, even though I didn't know anything about Puig. But Martins, his stand-up looked real solid. Puig landed some leg kicks, but Martins was really getting to him with the boxing. And after Puig kicked him in the nuts, Martins came right back and within a matter of seconds caught Puig with a straight punch, I think it was, and knocked him out. Martins is a real solid guy. Had a great win over Darren Cruikshank, and was really giving Cerrone a tough fight before he got knocked out. But I really expect big things from Martins. I think he's a top 15 guy at lightweight, and I think he can really make some noise at lightweight. I think he can move into that top 10, but looked real dominant here. Good win for him. Moving on to bantamweight, Leandro Issa with I thought, a very impressive performance over Juma Bayek Terzin. Got the armbar in the third round. Juma Bayek started off looking really good. Had the better striking than Issa, was able to land some more punches. I think it was in the first round that he dropped Issa with a punch. And Issa, his stand-up just wasn't looking too good. And, he was coming off of that loss over Doan where I thought, his stand-up was not very good and, looked like one of these jiu-jitsu guys who just couldn't hang on the feet. But in that second round, he landed a real big leg kick. Looked like he might have nearly snapped Terzin's leg right there with the leg kick, but kept working that leg kick and actually took over the striking in the second round. Looked a lot better with the striking, was able to land some nice shots. And then that third round got the takedown. He worked, he had a guillotine choke at one point and nearly finished Terzin. Terzin got out of it. But Issa got position again and went for an armbar and was able to finish the fight with it. First guy to finish Terzin, I think, in his career. I think Terzin was like 16-0 or something. I'm not certain about that, but it was something like that. And pretty impressive performance for Issa. He used striking and jiu-jitsu. I thought he looked a lot better than he did against Doan, and I'd kind of written him off after that loss to Doan, but look good here, and I'll be paying attention the next time he fights. But both these guys look pretty decent. I don't expect much from either one of them. When I say I don't expect much, I don't expect them to become relevant fighters, like moving into the top 15, but solid one for Issa. Next up at lightweight, Kevin Lee got a split decision over Jesse Ronson. Kevin Lee, he fought at a much more controlled pace than he did against Ally Quinta. Was able to get a few takedowns on Ronson. Got a slam at one point. Ronson, though, he looked better in this fight than he did in either of his previous two losses. Showed good technical striking at distance. I thought a few of those rounds were a bit close. I think I really can't remember which rounds. I think the first and the second, Ronson was able to land some good strikes, but Lee had that pressure. Was able to push him up against the fence and get the takedowns. 3 straight losses in a row for Ronson, and they've given him pressure wrestler after pressure wrestler, and he just doesn't have the wrestling to hang with these guys. Doesn't have the takedown defense. I don't know. Can't say I'm really excited to see him fight again, but I kind of hope they don't cut him. And Kevin Lee got the win here, and I was pretty high on him after his really entertaining brawl with Ally Quinta, but this fight I don't think was too impressive, so I don't expect much from him going forward. Moving on to the Fox Sports 1 main card, flyweight, real great fight though. Was really, it's too bad it was buried amongst all these on this card, amongst all these fights that people just didn't care about, because this was a real high stakes fight, at least the way I saw it, at flyweight against two really surging prospects in Dustin Ortiz and Justin Scoggins. Dustin Ortiz went to work right away with his wrestling. That's his main tool, his main weapon. Kind of a limited fighter in that sense, but when he gets that takedown, he's pretty good on top and a real good pressure guy. Really grinds guys down. But Scoggins got that armbar in the first round. looked like Ortiz wouldn't be able to just lay on him. Scoggins got that armbar, looked like he was really close to getting it, really cranking that arm, and actually gave Scoggins the first round for that armbar. Dustin Ortiz got out of it though, and second round Ortiz won. He was able to get Scoggins down again, stay on top of him, was pounding on him. And third round, I scored for Scoggins actually. Can't quite remember what happened. I think Ortiz finished on top again, but I thought Scoggins was doing more on the feet and spent more time on the feet than he did on his back in that third round. And I scored the fight for Scoggins. Ortiz has the benefit of being a wrestler, and judges are just gonna weigh the time he spends on top more than what his opponents do. A questionable decision, but Dustin Ortiz is a real prospect. And I think his second questionable decision, I thought the fight with Ray Borg, I thought that was a real competitive, close fight too, and I thought Ray Borg had a case for winning that fight, but maybe it's karma for that decision that he lost to John Moraga, which a lot of people thought he won. But Ortiz, like I said, kind of a limited fighter, limited skill set. But that wrestling, he's really good at it. He's taken everyone down that he's fought in the UFC. And I think he's definitely top 10 at flyweight now. 3 wins in the UFC. And Scoggins is a guy a lot of people were really high on. And even though I scored it for Scoggins, I can't say it's really that bad of a decision. Ortiz, real relentless guy, and I'd like to see him fight the winner of Zach Makovsky and Jussier Formiga, and I'd like to see the winner of that matchup fight for the title. I think he could put up a challenge to Demetrius Johnson with the wrestling. Real excited to see Ortiz go forward, and Scoggins is still a top prospect. Like I said, I scored this fight for him. Showed that he didn't just lay on his back. He got that armbar in the first round. I'm not sure if he got a takedown of his own in this fight, but he's a talented guy in the feet, and he's really young. He's only 22, I think. I think he's only going to get better from this, and he's going to be right back up there, I think, at the top of the division. Both of these guys, I think, are future contenders and could really give the champion Mighty Mouse a tough fight. And it was a pretty fun fight between 2 high-level guys at flyweight. Moving on to heavyweight, Derek the Black Beast Lewis got a first-round knockout over Guto Innocente. Derek Lewis just had the bigger power, was able to crack Innocente, finish the fight. Not much to say here. I haven't seen any of Innocente's other fights. Had one fight in Strikeforce, but Derek Lewis, fun fighter, second knockout win in a row. Called out Matt Mitrione, and I'd love to see that fight. At heavyweight, there's a lot of activity going on at the bottom. Just this summer, we've seen a lot of new debuting heavyweights. Guys like Ruslan Magomedov, Victor Pesta, Rogerio de Lima from Tough Brazil 3. Those guys, Soa Paleli and Jared Rosholt as well. And I think there's a lot of kind of interesting, fun, novel fights at heavyweight at the bottom of the division. There's like nothing in the middle, and then there's the top 10, and no one to really challenge Kane. So I think Derek Lewis and Mitrione would be a great fight. A fight to bring one of those lower level guys like Lewis and match him up with someone who's closer to the top like Mitrione. A rare opportunity in the heavyweight division, and I'd love to see that. That would be a crazy fight. But Derek Lewis looks like a fun fighter. I mean, the heavyweight division is and also Alexei Olenek, who fought last weekend, another heavyweight who I think is in that pack, kind of at the bottom of the division, but can mix and match a lot of these heavyweights, and I think the heavyweight division is really novel. Meaning that not a lot of these guys they're not gonna be gonna be able to contend at all. I mean, the gap between Kane and Dos Santos is big, let alone Kane and the rest of the division. But Derek Lewis and Matt Mitrione, I'd love to see that. And now on to the tough finale tournament finals. Middleweight Eddie Gordon knocking out Diego Lima in the first round. Incredible performance. Tough 19, I agree with Dana White, was the worst season, at least since I've started watching. I've been watching since Tough 10, which I'm sure a lot of other people have been watching a lot longer and probably more sick of it than I am. But it's crazy that both of these tough finale fights looked identical. The guys just running over their opponents with striking, blitzing them early on. The fights looked exactly the same and lasted just about the same time. But Eddie Gordon stormed Diego Lima, had him up against the fence, was just throwing bombs, rocked Lima. Lima looked like he was trying to fight through it, but he was badly hurt and pretty close to being put out cold there, if he wasn't already. And great win for Eddie Gordon. Looked real dominant. I thought there was a chance Gordon might win a decision with his striking, but I didn't think at all he'd be able to finish Lima like that early. Real nice performance for Gordon. And, it just shows that no matter what kind of performance someone has one fight, they can improve drastically between fights and just look like a completely different fight. I mean, Eddie Gordon, he never looked to finish at all like that. Never hurt anyone with his striking on any occasion in the house. His wins over Mike King and Cathal Pendred never did anything close to that. He fought at a real steady pace in both of those fights and just stormed Lima here. Really nice to see, and feel bad for Lima because he was the only guy to finish guys in the house. Looked like he was the only guy really looking to make a statement there, and he got put out real quickly. Hopefully the UFC gives him another chance, but I don't know if he has the striking to really hang with these guys, but great win for Gordon. And then the next fight at light heavyweight, Corey Anderson doing the exact same thing to Matt Van Buren. Like I said, the fights were identical, really kind of crazy. Another guy who, he out-wrestled, I think it was Josh Clark, out-wrestled him, didn't come close to a finish at all. And then against Pat Walsh, he hurt him a little bit with the striking, but never really came close to knocking him out or never really chased that finish. Just looked exactly like what Eddie Gordon did to Lima. Stormed Matt Van Buren real early, blitzed him, put Van Buren out. Van Buren tried to wrap up the tie clinch a few times, but was too badly hurt, kept eating punches, and Corey Anderson put him out. Real dominant win for both of the winners, Gordon and Anderson. And like I said, maybe Anderson fights Robert Drysdale, but who knows who they'll give him next. But he looked dominant here. Both of these guys, Gordon and Anderson, I don't know really how much I expect from them. And maybe Eddie Gordon should fight Warley Alves, a middleweight winner of Tough Brazil 3. But I don't know how much I expect from them going forward, but nice to see them get real dominant wins here. And then the main event just turned out to be a stupid fight. Frankie Edgar TKOing BJ Penn in the third round. I thought there was a chance Edgar would finish Penn. I thought he'd win a decision, though. BJ Penn, I thought, was just kind of out of his mind, trying to come back thinking he could beat Edgar. And Edgar really showed, Penn had no reason to be there and come back. Edgar was not looking that great early on. I mean, there was nothing BJ Penn was doing to him, but BJ Penn came out with that real weird upright stance, looked real stiff, was barely throwing anything with his hands. Maybe the best thing he did was using his defensive guard on the ground, tying Edgar up, using that butterfly guard. Edgar wasn't able to really get off much ground and pound for the first couple of rounds, but that third round was able to get on top. I think he got crucifix position at one point, but was just smashing Penn and finished him eventually. Edgar used the same style he did in the rematch with Penn he had way back. He was just too elusive on the feet for Penn. His footwork was too good. He was able to get in and out quickly, land shots here and there, and Penn couldn't do anything about it. BJ Penn, obviously one of the best fighters in MMA history, one of the most talented champions and fighters, but I said in my predictions video, this guy, he's been fading for a long time. Really, I think that John Fitch fight, where he actually looked good and he was winning the fight, but then that third round just seemed to have no gas, and Fitch poured it on him with the ground and pound, and then just really couldn't be competitive with Nick Diaz or Rory McDonald after that. The Rory McDonald fight was a year and a half ago. I keep stressing that. I mean, he hasn't been training for a fight in a year and a half, and he comes back 2 weight classes lower than what he's been fighting at for the last 4 years. It's crazy. I think it's crazy people thought he was going to be competitive, but I'm glad Edgar was able to finish him. It was the only way that Edgar could make this fight relevant. I mean, if he got a decision over Penn the same way he did 4 years ago when Penn was the champion, that I thought that would have been pretty bad for a bad outcome for Edgar. But he's able to get the finish. First time BJ's been stopped since the rematch with Pierre. That's the way it should have went down. Edgar shows that he's still, a possible contender at featherweight, and I said this in my predictions video also. I thought the UFC really screwed Edgar over, kind of ruined his career by, they made him do that rematch with Ben Henderson, and I thought, I don't think Edgar should have ever had to leave lightweight. I mean, I thought he won clearly that rematch with Ben Henderson, but he ends up going down to featherweight, has the real close fight with Aldo, and instead of getting to work right away, trying to get the title shot again, they pull him out for a year to do this stupid, terrible season of The Ultimate Fighter. And then this fight with BJ Penn, I mean, the guy he took the title from 4 years ago, and BJ Penn, who's just been beat up since then. But hopefully Edgar can get the fights he needs to get a chance of fighting for the title again. I mean, there's Cub Swanson, Dennis Seaver, Nick Lentz. He already has a win over Oliveira, who's been doing great. Maybe a fight with Poirier, even Jeremy Stevens. I want to see if Edgar can really, can beat some of those top contenders and fight for the title again. But that's my recap for UFC Tough 19 finale, Edgar versus Penn. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Please like the video, comment, subscribe. Check out my recap for 175, Weidman versus Machida. And I'll be back next week with predictions for Fight Night 45, Cerrone versus Miller, as well as the Dublin Fight Night card, McGregor versus Brandao. Take care, you guys. See you next time. Bye.